You've heard about him. You've read about him. Now, you'll see him in action.
Figure form. Action figure form. Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation. Today, I'm taking a look at the Walmart exclusive Marvel Legends Spider-Man 77. Starting with the packaging, and I love this box. It's got that colorful 70s vibe right down to the fonts. If you look closely, you can tell that they digitally touched up the photos, but that movie wasn't exactly made in high definition, so it's completely understandable. I particularly love that the frame for the photos is actually the mirror he stood in when we first saw him in costume. And then on the back they went the extra mile by using the action figure to recreate the poster. Again, it just seems like a lot of thought and love went into this. Being that it's Walmart, I have no idea if you're going to be able to find him in store, but if so, here's the UPC. For packaging, Spider-Man 77 most definitely gets 5 points. Moving on to presentation, and let's set this spider free. And hey, the insert card is actually the city from the poster. Well, I know what I'm doing for the thumbnail and glam shots. Out of the box, and my inner 5-year-old is very happy. Practically very happy. 77 Spidey is mostly just a repaint of the Japanese Toei Spider-Man, which itself is mostly just Reed Richards with pinless arms and legs. The new pieces for this Spidey being the web shooter, his spider utility belt. If you look closely, you can see that his face is actually the belt buckle. As a kid watching this on an old TV, I had no idea. And of course, there's his head. Looking at the box, we can see it's a pretty spot-on comparison, though Hasbro did take a small amount of creative liberty. Throughout the TV movies and series, there were actually 2 different masks that Spider-Man wore. The most common one just looked like black sunglasses. This one, however, was a little bit different than the action figure. They were solid silver with tiny little holes in them, like a tea infuser. Not gonna lie, I kind of want to imagine that Peter just stole Aunt May's tea infuser and sewed them into a suit. Peter, have you seen my tea infuser? Shut up, Aunt May, I'm busy. Don't sass me, young man. I'll do what I want. I'll send you to the home. In all the Spider-Verse, why have I gotta be stuck with the one Peter who never learned that with great power comes great responsibility? Well, why do I have to be stuck with the one Aunt May who's so forgettable they recast her and no one even noticed? If only your uncle was alive so he could be murdered and teach you a lesson. Whew, that went somewhere. Also, apparently my Aunt May is just Sylvia Fine from The Nanny.
What planet is he from?
In general, this is a more streamlined look, so it doesn't really bother me. Looking at the mask, for example, and it was pretty obvious that Nicholas Hammond had a whole separate face piece. Also, Hammond's boots were a more vinyl material. Plus, there was a very visible seam running along here, which is actually how he took the mask off. While I'm back here, though, I do really like the spider. Additionally, he does suffer from things like the webs not matching up, as well as other issues. But I really like the colors in contrast to the almost neon red of the Toei version. As much as I like it, I do want to be fair though, so for presentation, Spider-Man 77 gets 4 points. And no, I didn't dock it because of this. Mainly just because it's specific to mine, and to my knowledge, not an issue with the figure overall. If you're enjoying this video so far, do me a favor and give it a like. Moving on to Poseability, and admittedly, this isn't the most articulated Spider-Man ever made, but if we're being honest, neither was Nicholas Hammond himself. His head's on a ball joint and a disc swivel, meaning he has a great amount of looking up for perspective, and here's straight ahead, and here he is looking down. The lack of a dumbbell does mean that we don't have a lot in the way of tilt, but of course he does get all the way around. Moving on down, and Spider Hammond can raise his arms just over 90 degrees, no butterfly joint or anything like that, but we do get complete rotation, bicep swivel, pinless double jointed elbows, and wrists that can swivel and hinge this far up and that far down. Shifting to the torso, and Spider-Man has an ab crunch and a waist swivel. For contrast, and here standing straight, thanks to the ab crunch though, and the hunch forward is pretty good. The lack of a diaphragm or a ball jointed waist means he doesn't get any side to side, but of course he does get twist. Below the web utility belt, and Spidey has ball jointed hips. He can only kick this high, but again, that's probably only about as much as Nicholas Hammond's stunt double could would do. Little bit back, and a pretty respectable split. Working our way down the legs, and Peter has thigh cut, pinless double jointed knee with a surprisingly deep bend, no boot cut or toe articulation, but he does have ankles that can hinge, and like Spider-Man from Nicholas Hammond to the stunt coordinator the second the mask went on, pivot. Again, he's not as articulated as we're used to seeing Spidey, but he's plenty articulated for this Spidey. For Poseability, I'm giving Spider-Man 77 4 points. Moving on to Playability, and I could see the accessories being a little divisive. So far, we've seen these fists that Spidey comes pre-packed with, but he also has these more relaxed open hands. These basically double as wall crawlers, and while I would normally say that all Spider-Men should come with wall crawlers, fists, and whippies, that's not the case here. Nicholas Hammond's Spider-Man never actually made the typical web shooter gesture. Instead, he would just kind of reach and the webs would automatically come out. So while hand options are always nice, for this Spider-Man it honestly works just fine. One bonus is you can use those hands on other Spider-Man figures, giving them a more relaxed option. On the subject of webs, and Hasbro did give us a couple, I guess you just kind of drape them over other figures. But again, on the show, that's all they really did anyway. I've fallen, and I can't get up! Are you mocking me? To the moon, Aunt May! For me, the coolest accessory is this piece of string. Again, this Spider-Man didn't exactly have fancy webs. In fact, his web lines were just literal white ropes. This is a perfect way to represent that. And if you shove it down into the peg hole, it makes for a pretty cool effect. Man, that just unlocked a memory of tying a string around my Secret War Spider-Man and swinging him around my room. Did any of you do that with your Spideys as a kid? The one thing that would have really clinched it for me would have been an extra head. In fact, I'd have been completely fine if they used the same head, just with the eyes painted in a shiny black. Obviously, a Nicholas Hammond head would have been ideal, but I do understand that there's probably licensing issues there. That said, one very cool feature is that the belt and web shooter are removable, which is cool because he didn't always wear them, but it's also handy for those who might want to use it as a retro-style comic Spidey. That said, they are pretty great for hiding the joints. As for comparisons, and starting with some other live-action superheroes of my childhood, here's Christopher Reeve's Superman by NECA, Michael Keaton Batman, also by NECA, and what the heck, here's Adam West Batman. Now, if only Hasbro could give us a Lou Ferrigno Hulk. Taking off the web shooter and belt, and for those who want to use this as a retro comic Spidey, here he is with the Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus with his review station hogging tentacles, the retro card Electro, and the retro card Sandman. And then for two of Peter's most timeless loves, Gwen Stacy and Mary Jane Watson. For his other live-action Spider Brothers, though, and here's Japanese Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, who's a little small by comparison, Andrew Garfield in one of my favorite live-action Spidey suits, and the homecoming version of Tom Holland. For a comic style and relative scale comparison, here he is with Pizza Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man, and as always, here he is with Stealth Iron Man. Sorry that you didn't get to join the Hulk and I on TV back in the day. It's alright. If I did get a show back then, it probably would have ended up looking like this. Now, I know y'all want to see some head swaps. The thing is, I filmed so many, I actually have to break it up into its own video. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. In terms of accessories, this figure does have some missed opportunities. Even so, I'm still pretty happy. For Playability, Spider-Man 77 gets 4 points. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. Spider-Man 77 is a Walmart exclusive, so therein lies the tragedy. As of this recording, he is available on the Walmart app, but that might just be because he's $30. For some perspective, that's the same price as the black suit Spider-Man 3, but unlike Spidey 77, he came with 4 extra hands, an unmasked Toby head, and a gooey little Venom buddy. Then again, the extra hands on black suit Spidey are reuse. These 4 pieces on Spidey 77 are reuse. In terms of tooling, this Toby got new hair, a new logo, and that Venom buddy, whereas Nicholas got a web shooter, a belt, and a new head, plus this string. So yeah, maybe these are an equal value. For price, this round is a draw, but the battle goes to black suit 5-2. Haha, surprise versus. I'm just gonna let you guess where the other points went. Now, in fairness, I'm only an action figure YouTuber. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an accountant, and I have no idea what kind of special licensing this might have involved, but golly, these modern costs make me miss the 70s. And again, don't even get me started on the Walmart exclusivity. Taking all of that into consideration, and for price, I'm giving Spider-Man 77 3 points, averaging out to a still good total of 4 out of 5. Sound off in the comments below and let me know what you think of this figure and the 1977 series. And once again, stay tuned for my head swap showcase. For more Spider-Man videos, check out one of these, and until next time, play nice and have fun. His head is on a dumbbell. No, it's not. Taking off the web shooter and belt, and for those who might want to try to use this as a more retro-style comic spike, averaging out to a grand total of, I don't know, I didn't actually tabulate it yet.